Bitcoin, the start of all the hype about blockchain money. And somehow, it all led to people buying poorly drawn pictures of monkeys for millions of dollars. Just listen to that sentence. That's something I never thought that I would have to say. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, why? Here, I'll draw a picture of a monkey that you can get for free. Okay, let's start with a head, then some eyes, a big nice smile, some ears, a body, legs of course. Do monkeys have tails? Okay, a tail, arm, and there we have it. So, here we have a drawing of a monkey. Nah, you know what? This is a bit too good. I don't think it's free anymore. Let's make a deal. I want $1,000, a lifetime subscription to Fortnite, and to be firstborn's godfather. Okay, so to start off, Bitcoin is a type of cryptocurrency. But what are cryptocurrencies? Cryptocurrency is, as the name suggests, a currency. Do you see it? It has the word currency in it because it's a currency. But unlike regular money, crypto is decentralized and uses blockchain to actually function. Decentralized means that no bank has distributed it and it works independently. Okay, but the big question, what is blockchain? Blockchain is a thing that makes cryptocurrencies actually work, and without it there wouldn't really be any. Blockchain is a bunch of blocks that are connected to each other through sort of chains. These blocks are the records of transactions and they consist of a bunch of different parts. The block header has the information about the block. Some things are the previous block's hash, which we will get into later, a timestamp for when the block was created, a Merkle root, which is the hash of all the transactions stored in the block. Okay, that's a bit confusing. Let's go through what the Merkle root is. The transactions all have different hashes. The Merkle root is simply put obtained when we mix all these hashes and continue until we get a single hash. The Merkle root can be used to see if a transaction is valid. We can take the transaction hash and do the same thing but hashing it together with the others. We can now take the new Merkle root and compare it to the blocks. If they are the same, it means that the transaction is valid. Okay, next the block contains all the transactions that have happened during a special amount of time. These contain things like the address of who sent the crypto and who received it. It also keeps track of things like the amount of crypto being sent. The block also contains the block's hash. The block hash is created from hashing the block's header into a unique hash. Remember what I said about blockchain? Well, the block hashes are the chains. Remember that we store the previous block's hash? Well, this is why. In order to prevent any of the previous blocks being modified, we store the previous block's hash. Since the hash is created uniquely depending on all the transactions and different things in a block, if someone changed even just a single thing, the block hash will be different and therefore the blocks after will be invalidated, because they have a different hash for the block. Okay, so to get a better understanding, I think we should see exactly what happens when you send a Bitcoin to someone. First, you need someone's Bitcoin address to send the Bitcoin to. You then create a transaction message and include things like the amount being spent, the receiver and other data. This transaction then gets sent to the Bitcoin network. The Bitcoin network is just a bunch of computers connected together. This makes it so that we don't need a centralized system and everybody can help. Okay, but these transactions also need to be validated, so let's go through that. First, the computers in the network, which we will call nodes from now on, start by checking if all the required fields are filled in, like the sender, the receiver and the amount being sent. Now the nodes need to check if the user actually has the amount of Bitcoin being sent. They do this by checking the UTXO, which stands for unspent transaction output. Whenever you create a transaction, you need to reference a UTXO that you're going to spend. This way the nodes can check if the Bitcoin you want to spend actually is real. You more or less tell the nodes, hey, this is the address of an unspent Bitcoin that I want to send. Next, there's a script execution, which in short is a bunch of scripts that are used to keep the transaction safe, flexible and more. Here is an example. Let's say someone wants to create a transaction that needs 2 verifications of 3 to go through. You then create a locking script, which states that you need 2 of the 3 public keys. Then when you want to send the Bitcoin, you create an input script with at least 2 of the 3 public keys. The scripts now get executed, and if the input script matches the rule of the locking script, the transaction is valid. The nodes then check that the UTXO hasn't been spent before, so that you can't spend it more than once. The nodes then check so that the transaction follows the rules set by the Bitcoin network. Things like the size limit of a transaction and that the signatures are valid. If the transaction is valid, it gets added to the large pool of transactions that want to get into the block. Now nodes called miners take these transactions and tries to add them together to a new block in the chain. The miner's job is to change the noun field in the block header and then hash it. This hash needs to match a certain criteria to be valid. As an example, the criteria can be that the hash needs to start with 3 zeros. This is a random process, and all that the miners do is adding random values to the nouns, hoping that it will match. Okay, but why don't we just make a hash by our own, adding 3 zeros at the front and then sending it in? This won't work, because when you have found a supposed match, you need to send it to all the nodes so that they can confirm that it's valid. They will take the noun's value and hash it themselves to see if the result matches. The miner who managed to get the correct nouns gets 6.25 bitcoins and the transaction fees. When you create a transaction, you can add a transaction fee if you want the miners to prioritize your transaction. This guessing of nouns takes a lot of power to hash and to do it quickly. You can use a graphics card to do this, and that's what the Bitcoin miner I installed on your computer does. So to quickly summarize, Bitcoin is secure thanks to encryption in blockchain, keeping it private and decentralized. Blockchain consists of spreadsheets that are referred to as blocks that contain the records of transactions being made. And the blocks are connected to each other through encryptions of the block before that are referred to as chains. So this is how Bitcoin transactions work. But other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum are different in some ways. But this video is about Bitcoin, so tell me if you want one about Ethereum. Down, where? The comments. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm heading out this way. Yeah. See you. It was fun. Bye bye.